I get requests all the time from people in other countries. These are normally people that are thinking about moving to or just visiting the US, but might not know much about the country past the stats and the travel guide type things. Coming for work, they're coming for school, whatever the case may be. So today I thought we could just summarize each state in the nation to give them a brief look and some information about the Nifty 50. And if you don't know what that means, let's say you're from another country, we have 50 states. And one of the ways they help you remember that when you're like in elementary school is they give it that cute nickname, the Nifty 50. That's what we're doing today. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 50, Alabama. Spanish explorers are believed to have arrived in Mobile Bay in 1519. Sometime later, the United States decided to go to the moon, and Huntsville, Alabama is where they made the rockets to get us there. They also played a big role in the Civil War, and for a long time, and still a little bit to this day, they have a reputation for a little bit of racism, like most of the southern states. But they do have good people, great universities, and plenty of things to do. Number 49, Alaska. Alaska is one of two states that don't share border with any other states. It is the largest state by area and the 48th by population. They don't have a lot of people. They have less than 1 million people living there, 736,000 to be exact. But because the state's so big, their population density is really low. They're ranked 50th in the nation. Alaska is known for its wilderness, its hunting and fishing, and cruise ship ports. Alaska is one of the few states that is hemorrhaging residents. Not a lot of people are moving to Alaska anymore. A lot of people are moving out. Number 48, Arizona. Arizona is a southwestern state. It is mostly desert, even though it does have some mountains and some hills and stuff. For the most part, it's known for its deserts. It's also known for its sunburned retirees and the Grand Canyon. It's also one of the Four Corner states. There's a point on the U.S. map where Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona all meet at Four Corners. Arizona is also surrounded by Nevada and California to the west and Mexico to the south. They have some pretty good universities here. 47, Arkansas. Arkansas is known as the natural state. It is beautiful. They have some amazing landscapes. They also have two of the most dangerous cities in the United States, Pine Bluff and Little Rock. Stay away from those and it's pretty good. I've said in many of my videos that the northwest corner of the state is a lot different than the rest of Arkansas. Arkansas doesn't have the best reputation. They're known for their hillbillies, their rednecks, and uneducated residents. They do have hillbillies and rednecks, but the uneducated part comes from way back, and it's really not like that anymore. They do have some good universities, and not all their school districts are bad. Some of them are really, really good. If you like the outdoors, this is a great place. 46, California. Everybody knows about California. This is where Hollywood is. This is where Silicon Valley is, Los Angeles, and some of the best beaches in the nation. It's also home to Yosemite, Disneyland, and SeaWorld. If you take New York, Florida, and Texas, and Massachusetts out of the equation, California makes more money than any 10 combined states. But the state is terribly expensive, and in a lot of areas, extremely overcrowded, with a serious homeless situation in Los Angeles and San Francisco. If you ever hear it called the Golden State, that's because they discovered gold there in the 1840s and had a gold rush through the late 1840s and 1850s. Number 45, Colorado. Colorado is known as the Centennial State because it became a state 100 years after the United States became a thing. It is known for its Rocky Mountains and its natural beauty. Colorado is sort of split in two. You'll hear people refer to the western slope, which covers Colorado's terrain west of the Continental Divide, where you'll find cities like Grand Junction, Montrose, and Delta. On the front slope, which is the east side of the Continental Divide, you'll find Colorado Springs, Denver, Boulder, places like that. Colorado has a lot of things to do, a lot of good jobs, a good military presence, including the Air Force Academy. 44, Connecticut. Connecticut is a New England state that is not too far north of New York City. A lot of the extremely wealthy people from New York City, let's say financiers, bankers, stuff like that, own homes in Connecticut. Connecticut is a strange state. You will find some of the richest neighborhoods and towns in Connecticut, at the same time finding some of the worst poverty outside the deep south. It's a really strange state. It's like they don't have much of a middle class. They got the uber wealthy and the tragically poor. But they do have a Ivy Ivy League school, Yale, is in New Haven. Their biggest cities are Hartford and New Haven. 43, Delaware. Delaware is the first state. Yep, it was the first state admitted into the Union, and it is also the home of our current president, Joe Biden. Its capital city is Dover, and its largest city is Wilmington, which normally doesn't make the press unless it's something bad. They got a lot of crime going on in Wilmington. Beautiful and historic city, it's just got a whole bunch of crime and poverty right now. Delaware is kind of small and oddly shaped, and kind of hard to find if you don't know where it is. So if you're looking at a map and you see Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., it's in between there. Number 42, Florida. Florida is known as the Sunshine State because they get a lot of it. They also get a lot of hurricanes, and they got alligators. Keep that in mind. They're also known for having a lot of cruise ships going in and out of there, and for having Orlando, where you will find all kinds of amusement parks, including Disney World. It also has amazing beaches. 41, Georgia. Just north of Florida, you have Georgia, known as the Peach State. Georgia is one of our southern states, and its biggest city is Atlanta. They're also a state that has a big military presence. And these days, they've got a lot of political turmoil. A lot of stuff's going on there. So if you show up in the United States, you're going to hear them a lot, and it has to do with some weird political stuff that's been going on. Georgia also has one of the most beautiful cities we have here in the United States, Savannah. Number 40, Hawaii, the Aloha State. Did you know aloha means hello and goodbye? It's one of those words that have several meanings, just like dude and the F word. Hawaii is in the middle Pacific Ocean, and it is the other state that does not share a border with any other U.S. state. It is in the middle of the ocean. That's why. Hawaii is obviously another state that has amazing beaches. Its main industry is tourism, and it's also where a lot of retirees that have a good amount of money go to spend their golden years. Most people think Hawaii only has like 5 to 8 islands. Hawaii is actually made up of 137 islands. Now, 8 of them are considered major islands, and 7 of the major islands have somewhat of a population. One island hasn't had any permanent residents since 1940. They also have 13 minor islands, which really don't have anyone living on them, and a whole bunch of atolls, reefs, and rocks sticking out of the ocean that they consider islands and part of the Hawaiian chain. Number 39, Idaho. Idaho is known as the Gem State, and it is one of those places everyone's been moving to over the last decade. Remember how I said people are flooding out of California earlier? A lot of them are going to Idaho. Now, the United States is broken up into several different regions, and there's one called the Pacific Northwest, which has Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, even though Idaho doesn't touch the Pacific Ocean. Idaho's biggest city is Boise. If you call it Boise, it makes them angry. It's Boise. 38, Illinois. Illinois is in the upper Midwest, and this is where they keep the big city of Chicago. It's in the northeast side of the state on Lake Michigan. There's a lot of things going on in Illinois, but all anyone really knows about Illinois, it's Chicago. Number 37, Indiana. Indiana is mostly farmland. They have Indianapolis right in the middle of the state, and that's where they have a big race every year. Actually, they have a few races there at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Indiana is college basketball. If you like basketball, you already know where Indiana is because a lot of the people there live and breathe college basketball or basketball in general. They call themselves Hoosiers. 36, Iowa. Iowa is where we grow most of our corn. Well, maybe not most of it. We grow a lot of it. It's just kind of known for their corn. It's also kind of known for its boredom. They do have a couple good-sized cities, Sioux City and Des Moines. It's also considered one of the most boring states. And if you're married and want to settle down and raise a family, boring is sometimes good. Number 35, Kansas. Staying in the Midwest, we have Kansas. They call themselves Jayhawks. Kansas is a lot like Iowa. It's, great place to raise a family, but it's kind of boring. Their biggest city isn't really even in their state. It's Kansas City, with a majority of Kansas City being in Missouri. But that area on the Kansas side does have one of the best suburbs in the nation, Overland Park, Kansas. They also have Topeka and Wichita, but nobody knows where those really are, even though they really are there. I promise you. Kansas is also where Dorothy got her start from the book and the movie, The Wizard of Oz. Number 34, Kentucky. Kentucky is a southeastern state that is bordered by the Ohio River to the north and the Appalachian Mountains to the east. It's not a deep south state. It is a southern state. It's not deep south, though. It's sort of like a border state between the Midwest and the South. I've always found Kentucky to be a little strange in a few different ways. They have some incredible universities, but at the same time, they always seem to show up in lists about the worst states for adult literacy. It is also home to the Kentucky Derby, which is held at Churchill Downs on the first Sunday in May. This is like a big event, not just there, for the entire country. And it's not just the race, it's like a 2-week festival. For some reason, people always seem to think that their state capital is Lexington. It is not, it's Frankfort. 33, Louisiana. Louisiana has a bunch of nicknames, but the one that most people know it by is the Pelican State. This is where you'll find cities like Baton Rouge and New Orleans. It's also where the Mississippi River ends right before it flows into the Gulf of Mexico. It's got a lot of history and a whole bunch of poverty. Keep that in mind if you decide to go visit. 32, Maine. Maine is a New England state. It is the most northeastern state we have here in the U.S. Maine is known as the Pine Tree State, and they got a lot of pine trees and a lot of open land. They are ranked 39th in size and 42nd in population. Their capital is Augusta, and their largest city is Portland. Actually, out here in Portland, Oregon, if you've never heard this before, that is how we got the name Portland, Oregon. Two businessmen from back east decided they needed to name this little camp that had set up around their trading post. Each wanted to name it after their hometown. They flipped a coin, and the guy from Portland, Maine won, and he named it Portland, Oregon. We were a coin toss away from being Boston, Oregon. 31, Maryland. Most people not from the United States really don't know much about Maryland. I mean, even if you're from the United States, you probably don't know much about it past this is where Baltimore is. If you look at the map, Maryland and Delaware to a degree looks like they just kind of threw these states together as an afterthought. Maybe some landowner was all, I want my own state. So Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Virginia gave a little piece each of their states. Like, here, take this land, we're not using it, and shut up. Maryland is known as a mid-Atlantic state that is got a whole bunch of waterways, coastline, and the Chesapeake Bay. The border of Maryland in the northern part is defined by the Potomac River. And there's one section where the state is so thin up near Hancock that you could walk from West Virginia through Maryland into Pennsylvania in less than an hour. If your gout's acting up, might be 2 hours. Number 30, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is where Boston is and where you'll find Harvard. Harvard, of course, being an Ivy League school and considered by most to be one of the best in the nation. I was in the Army with a guy from Boston, and he always used to say, and I never understood why, he's all, Harvard, the big lie. I don't know. I think it's a local thing. I don't know. But he did it in his country club voice. It was like, Harvard, the big lie. It was ridiculous. Massachusetts isn't a terribly large state. It's actually ranked 44th in the nation. When it comes to population, they're ranked 15th with about 7 million residents. And they're second in the nation when it comes to median household income. This state makes a lot of money, even though it's not that big. Depending on the year, their economy is usually in the top 5 for the United States. Always like number 3, 4, or 5, something like that. So if you want to go to school here, it's a good idea. It's expensive. And if you're looking to get a good paying job, probably look here also. And if you ever call it a state, keep in mind it's a commonwealth, not a state. There's a little bit of a difference, nothing major. In a lot of different things, we say we have 50 states. In reality, we have a few that are commonwealths. If you do move to Massachusetts, keep in mind they have a very strange accent. I shouldn't say strange. It's just very noticeable, especially if you're in the Boston area. 29, Michigan. Michigan is known as the Great Lakes State, the Wolverine State. It's also known as the Mitten State, the Water Wonderland State, or Winter Wonderland State. It's got a lot of nicknames. And it's home to what most people consider the worst major city in the United States, Detroit. The rural parts and small towns are great. Detroit and Flint and a couple other places just are really bad. I did a whole video on how Detroit got to where it is today. I'll leave a link down below. Michigan is ranked 10th in population with about 10 million residents, and it's ranked 11th in size. They have brutally cold winters and nice summers and springs if you could stand the mosquitoes. 28, Minnesota. Minnesota is a lot like Michigan, probably a little bit colder, and they don't have Detroit. Beautiful summers and springs, winters and fall can be brutal, but it is a beautiful state in the rural areas. Wonderful people in Minnesota. 27, Mississippi. Mississippi is, by most people's account, the worst state in the United States. They have the worst state capital of Jackson, Mississippi, and they lead the nation in so many things that are negative. I don't know where to begin, but probably the one that sticks out the most, poverty. That's right, the Magnolia State has the worst poverty in the country. If you don't need to go to Mississippi, don't go to Mississippi. 26. Missouri. Missouri is a state that is often overlooked. It's pretty close to being the middle of the country, and its two largest cities they have to share with other states. Kansas City is in Missouri and it's in Kansas. Then you have St. Louis, Missouri with a metro area that goes into Illinois with East St. Louis. It does have one of my favorite places to go visit, and that is Lake of the Ozarks. It's right in the middle of the state. 25. Montana. If you're from another country and you want to see what the Old West was like, go to Montana. It's the closest you're going to get to how the Old West was. Wyoming's pretty close also. They got a lot of open land, and it's beautiful in most areas. Kinda gotta be a tough person to live in Montana. 24. Nebraska. Nebraska is just like Kansas and Iowa. Boring, but a great place to raise a family. Number 23, Nevada. Nevada's not a great place to raise a family, according to just about every survey that's ever been taken. If you're not from the United States and you've never heard of Nevada, it's where we keep Las Vegas. Yes, Las Vegas is the largest city. Well, the metro area of Las Vegas is the major metro area in Nevada. Nevada is a good-sized state. It's actually the 7th largest in the United States, but it's 32nd when it comes to population. That's because they only have a few metro areas like Las Vegas, Laughlin, and Reno, and the rest of the state is desert that not many people would want to live in. And not many people get the chance to live in it because most of this state is owned by the federal government. 22, New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a great state. I love New Hampshire. It's right next to one of my favorite states, which is Vermont. These two states are very similar, along with Maine, because they are the safest states in the United States. They're always like 1, 2, or 3. New Hampshire is beautiful and safe if you want to go there for college or relocate. 21, New Jersey. New Jersey, you know, it's a strange state. The people there aren't really obnoxious and rude as they seem. It's just the way they are. They sort of remind me of Russians. If you don't know the Russian language, when you hear them speak, you think they're angry, at least from a Western point of view. New Jersey's like that too. They sound like they're getting aggressive when really they're just talking to you. New Jersey has some nice coastal areas and some really nice rural areas on the inside of the state, but they have a lot of really bad big cities. Stay out of the big cities, it's a great place to live. Number 20, New Mexico. New Mexico is pretty close to Mississippi when it comes to poverty. New Mexico's got some problems, and most of it stems from they just don't have a lot of jobs. But if you like the desert, it's hard to find one as beautiful as New Mexico. 19. New York State. New York is a very interesting state because most people not from the country don't realize that New York City is not the entire state. New York City has about 3/4 of the people of New York State, but it only has about 1/5 of the land. It is known as the Empire State, and it is a melting pot. That's why most people coming from other countries, one of the first places they hear they should move to is New York or New York City. You will find every creed, race, sexual orientation, religion, mental disorder, and profession in New York. 18. North Carolina. North Carolina is where the Wright brothers flew for the first time. They say it was Kitty Hawk, but really it was a place called Kill Devil Hill. North Carolina has some amazing cities like Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, and of course, not a city, but they have the Outer Banks, which is beautiful. It is known as the Tar Heel State. I'd get into it, but there's several different reasons they call it that, and it's just a really long story. Look it up, it's interesting. 17, North Dakota. North Dakota is a strange state. It's one of our most northern states, and it's really never caught on. They have a couple places that have some population, but for the most part, it's a state that's got a lot of open land. Now, I say it's never really caught on. There's never been a major migration there. They've had little spurts when they started working the oil fields some years back, but it's never been a sustained migration. North Dakota is known for that open land and brutal winters. 16, Ohio. The Buckeye State is a state that's been on decline for about 30 years now. Ohio is home to one of the most depressing cities in the United States, which is Cleveland, which is also home to my favorite football team. Ohio only has 4 or 5 major cities. You got Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo, and Dayton. And of them, only Columbus is the one you want to live in. If you like football, it's a great place to live. They're big on college football and the NFL. They actually have the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. 15, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is right above Texas. And if you talk to someone from Oklahoma, they say they're just like Texas. And if you talk to someone from Texas, they'll say Oklahoma wishes it was a lot like Texas. This comedian I saw years ago said that he used to live in Oklahoma and they should change their welcome sign at the state line. Instead of welcome to Oklahoma, the Sooner State, it should just be a picture of a cop going, nothing to see here, folks. Keep moving. Yeah, Oklahoma is not the greatest place. Number 14, Oregon. Oregon's a state that used to be a lot better. For many years, it was one of the most moved to states. It's beautiful, outdoor activities, amazing forests, mountains, lakes, rivers, streams. We got water everywhere. These days, we got problems everywhere, and most of those problems everywhere are everywhere around Portland, Oregon, the largest city in the state. The rest of the state, though, is beautiful, and you can't deny that. Lucky number 13 is Pennsylvania, one of my favorite states. Pennsylvania is in the northeastern part of the United States, right next to Ohio, Maryland, New York, and New Jersey a little bit. It also has a little shoreline of Lake Erie. Pennsylvania shares a lot of the things I love about Oregon. There's water everywhere, forests, creeks, rivers, lakes, everything. Just a beautiful state, outside the cities. Pennsylvania has two major cities you've probably heard of, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and it has a handful of pretty decent smaller towns or cities, Harrisburg, Allentown, Scranton. Scranton's not the greatest, but still. And it's also home to my favorite small town in America, Honesdale. Number 12, Rhode Island, or Little Rhodey. That's its nickname. It is the smallest state we have. It is ranked 50th in size, meaning it is the absolute smallest. It's also 45th in population, but when it comes to population density, they're second in the nation. Rhode Island's a great place to be if you like seafood. Their other nickname, which is their official nickname, is the Ocean State. Number 11, South Carolina. Over the last handful of years, South Carolina has kind of grown on me. They've got some great cities and a lot of history. Charleston's a perfect example. Most people just think about Myrtle Beach because it's a great place to go on vacation. Myrtle Beach ain't that great. The beaches are cool, the city, not so much. Columbia's okay, and so is Greenville, but if I was moving to South Carolina, I would definitely choose Charleston. Number 10, South Dakota. South Dakota's a lot like North Dakota, just completely different. They actually have terrain features. Really, the only thing they have in common is a border and the word Dakota. South Dakota is where you find Mount Rushmore, which is that monument carved into a mountainside of presidents' heads. If you're not from the United States, those heads are Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Teddy Roosevelt. They got room for more heads, but nobody can really agree on who else should go up there. I think there's strong arguments for Reagan, FDR, and Kennedy. South Dakota is a great state if you like doing things outdoors. Number 9, Tennessee. Tennessee is another amazing state with a lot of great history. It's got some pretty cool cities too. Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis. Memphis ain't that great. You got to stay out of it, but Beale Street's pretty cool. It's kind of dangerous. The rest of the state is pretty good. Number 8, Texas. Texas is another state that's been built on oil. These days, it's just all-around energy state. Oil still plays a big part, and so does finance. A lot of banking and stuff like that goes on in Texas. It's not all cowboy hats and cowboy boots. Well, at least not cowboy hats. Cowboy boots, it's like everyone in Texas has to own a pair. Texas is one of the most moved-to states we have right now. Has been for about a decade. Number 7, Utah. Utah is a state that was pretty much founded by Mormon settlers. I know they were heading west. I don't know really why they stopped in Utah, other than their leader decided it was a good place. I don't know if he confused the Great Salt Lake with the Pacific Ocean. I know they have different stories, but I think he got here and said, there it is, the Pacific Ocean. A couple years later, someone went all the way around the lake and said, that's not the Pacific Ocean. And I'm sure he played it off with, I meant to do that. Utah's a great state to live in. Just keep in mind there is a serious Mormon influence here to this day. I don't want to say they control the state, but they kind of control the state. Number 6, Vermont. Vermont is another one of my favorite states. It's up there next to New Hampshire and Maine, and it is one of the 3 safest states we have. Like I said earlier, every year there's a new study, and they're either 1, 2, or 3. I think Maine right now is the safest. Vermont's number 2, New Hampshire's number 3. Vermont is beautiful and safe and a great place to live. Got to deal with some pretty harsh winters, but other than that, it's a great place to live. Number 5, Virginia. Virginia is one of those states that you always think is about to have a big boom, and people just start moving there. I mean, it's a steady trickle, but never that heavy migration like Idaho, Texas, and Colorado have seen. Great universities and a lot of work. Number 4, Washington State. Now, if you're not from this country, you may not know we have Washington, D.C., which is the headquarters or the capital of the United States. And that's on the East Coast. Washington State is where you'll find Seattle, and that's on the western side of the state. If you take Alaska out of the equation, it is the most northwestern state we have, right up there against Canada. Number 3, West Virginia. West Virginia is just a little west of Washington, D.C., and it's kind of north and west of Virginia. It's right there in the middle of the country amongst all these beautiful mountains. It's a beautiful state, but the state's fallen on hard times since the coal industry started fading away. The people are great, the land is beautiful, they just have some problems about employment, poverty, and they were one of the worst hit by the opioid crisis. It is one of the cheapest states to live in. If you could bring a job like a remote worker or you're retired, this is a great place to save some money and get ahead. It just comes with some challenges. Number 2, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a great state, and in my opinion, probably one of the top 3 states to raise a family in. The entire state, it's like that. I mean, they don't have any crime outside of Milwaukee, which is their biggest city. I mean, little crime, nothing major. Drinking and driving is probably one of their biggest crimes there. Wisconsin is beautiful, very rural, and a lot of places to fish and hike, sit on a dock and drink and stare at the water. All right, we got one more to go. If you're looking to move to another state, there's a really cool website called Home and Money. They could help you get in contact with a real estate agent in any part of the country you want to move to. They also have some other things like mortgage calculator and things like that on the website to help you if you're looking to buy a new home. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Wyoming. Wyoming is a very interesting state. They're a lot like Montana with the whole cowboy, rough living type thing. It's a big state, actually ranked 10th in the nation, but they don't have many people. They are the least populated state. They come in 50th. They only have 576,000 residents. Probably a little bit more than that or a little bit less. That's the 2020 numbers. My understanding is they gained some in 2021, but lost some in 2022. Wyoming is surrounded by Utah, Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Montana. Most of the state is flat, except on the western side of the state where you'll find the Rocky Mountains. Wyoming's another state that has a few nicknames. The Equality State, that's the official one. They're also known as the Cowboy State and Big Wyoming. If you don't like living around a bunch of people and you like the outdoors, Wyoming's a solid choice. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.